Are Manchester United about to sign a man who scored over 50 goals for his club last season in Viktor Gyokeres? Well, let me explain the Gyokeres to United full story for you. Following the links, how they've developed this summer, how reliable they are, and why everything has seemingly changed over the course of the last week. Because a week ago, I'd have said it was lunacy to think Gyokeres could join United, but he really could. So then, Viktor Gyokeres and Manchester United. This is a story which has been developing for a while. I didn't think it was going to happen after the Europa League final. I did my video. I stand by what I said, but I was wrong. United are definitely interested in signing him. I'm going to run through the full story in this video. Going to chronologically run through everything that's happened since last summer and piece it all together in order. Because it's important to understand all of this when it comes to the stories that came out from the Portuguese press yesterday about Gyokeres being angry. Why is that? I'm going to run through. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you are new, please do consider subscribing. It's going to be a busy summer. Already has been a busy summer. And we go back to this, all right? And this was last summer after the season that Gyokeres had, all right? Saying it's going to be difficult for him to stay. We had 8 proposals. And he's talking about if Amorim leaves the club. Of course, Amorim did leave the club, but he stayed at Sporting. And then it's him talking about those links, going with Amorim to United. I don't know. I'm here. As you can see, I enjoy it at Sporting. It's nothing I think about. I'm sad about him leaving, and we wish him all the best. Amorim speaking about Gyokeres, saying, I'm not going to be coming for any player, Sporting player, in January. And he didn't. Gyokeres with his thank you, goodbye message for Amorim. And then a little bit of this. 62. That's how many goals he scored in the 2024 calendar season. In the year, sorry. Whew. Now, after that, in March, we saw this. Arsenal getting linked with Gyokeres. David Ornstein saying that Arsenal developed a strong interest. Andrea Berta, the new sporting director who came in to Sporting, looking at a striker situation. Arsenal right now seemingly going after Benjamin Sesko as their main choice. But here is where it gets interesting, right? Because Sporting have got a €100 million release clause in the contract with Gyokeres. But as you can see from Fabrizio Romano there, Gyokeres can leave Sporting for a fee around 65 to 70 million euros with add-ons in the summer. And that was followed up on. I'll come through that in a bit. Amorim was again questioned about Gyokeres. I think this was before the Europa League final, and saying, look, if a player only wants to come to United to play Champions League, then he won't come. We want players who want to represent United. And I was really happy when he came out with that sentence, I'll be totally honest. And partly because of that, I thought that United not getting into the Europa League meant that there's no chance we could sign him. But this bit here, this is where the argument is sort of stemming from. Fabrizio saying that despite public statements, Gyokeres will surely leave. The package worth around 65 million euros can be enough to get the green light, as agreed with Gyokeres months ago, because it's clear that Fabrizio's links to the whole Gyokeres story is through his agency. And they're feeding this to Fabrizio, that they've had that conversation and that the agreement is in place. He ended the season with 63 goals for club and country. Is that sport? No. 76 goals in all competition. It's nuts. Anyway, score plenty. And then we reach what happened this week. That's all the context of what happened in the conversations and the stories as it develop across the course of the season. And then this week, we've had this from Sky Sports that United have made the initial approach to Sporting. And you got Fabrizio Romano saying that, look, United are on the phone daily. What's going on? We want Gyokeres. Juve are interested. Al Hilal are interested. And Arsenal. But Andy Mitten had this to say, right? Just listen to this. This is him on TalkSport.
At the club last week, I spoke to senior people there. And it wasn't a name that I heard. I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. I was told we're looking more at number 10s than number 9s. I realise fans want, no, get us a number 9 who's going to score 100 goals. But I can only go off the evidence that I've got. I'm not.
So that was Andy saying that actually, according to the people that he speaks to at Sporting, United aren't actually pushing ahead for Gyokeres right now. And this is where it gets interesting, because this is where the stories came out in the Portuguese press this week. It's interesting to follow this whole thing to give you an understanding of how it has developed, because this is the story from Portugal today. The Gyokeres is furious because Sporting have actually increased their demand. Now, I suppose the suggestion here is that they had a gentleman's agreement. Despite the €100 million release clause, if you stay for one more season, you can leave next summer for 70 million euros in total with the add-ons. Okay, cool. And he stayed. And now it sounds like Sporting are moving those goalposts. That's what this report suggests, all right? That Gyokeres is furious as sources close to the Ford described to record with the management of Sporting that they are not respecting the gentleman's agreement that existed for his sale. The release clause 100 mil, but they agreed 60 plus 10. And they now want 80. You can say this also explains the fact that he removed the reference to Sporting in his profile on Instagram. If you go over there, there's no link to Nike or Sweden or Sporting or anybody. It's all been completely removed. And following on from that is this, and this is further reported from Portugal this morning. This is from Sport Witness, saying the record knows that Varandas and Hugo Viana gave Gyokeres an extra bonus of €500,000 if he scored 50 goals or assists this season. That's a mad cheap bonus for 50 goals or assists. Anyway, he got it. And look, you can see down here, another source close to the process not only denies the existence of official proposals and conversations between Gyokeres' agency and Sporting over the 60 million plus 10. It's kind of like, it's not smoke and mirrors. It's just transfer nonsense, I suppose you can call it. On the one hand, you've got reports coming from the press that there was a gentleman's agreement between Sporting and Gyokeres that he could leave. On the other hand, sources close to the club are denying that this conversation ever happened. There's a suggestion that there's evidence and audio recordings. I don't know if that's all going to come out. Either way, it's all getting a little bit ugly out in the Portuguese press. Is that simply Gyokeres' agent putting pressure and trying to steer the narrative, using Fabrizio Romano, using the newspapers to try and semi-force a way out of Sporting? Potentially. Could Sporting actually have backtracked on an agreement that they had? Potentially. We don't know exactly what is true right now. But United are interested in signing Gyokeres, right? I still, for the life of me, am head scratching at the idea that this could actually happen. I did that in a video yesterday. But that's sort of the full story to date. There's no official bid that's gone in. 4 clubs are interested in him: United, Arsenal, Al Hilal, and Juventus. Is he furious with the club? If he is, and they did indeed walk back on that deal, then it could well sort of taint a relationship towards the end. United will obviously have a bit of an advantage because we've got Ruben Amorim. Arsenal, it seems like they're going after Sesko. And I think Al Hilal, Al Nassr are going after Sesko as well. Either way, no one else is really in for Gyokeres. It's one to watch right now because the first bid's got to go in. But that's the full story, covering it all. It's not close to being done, but it's certainly developed a lot over the last week. And as I've shown you throughout the whole season, the conversations have kind of been going back and forth. Gyokeres has been asked about United a couple of times. Amorim's spoken about Gyokeres a couple of times. And Fabrizio has reported multiple times this season that he can leave Sporting for €65 million. But maybe Sporting never actually intended that to be the case. We'll find out. I'll cover any updates for you as and when, so make sure you do subscribe. Take it easy.